So thanks for joining us. And let's start with the basics. When did your company begin and where? Like, what was the inspiration and the first product?
So we started in 2007 in Toronto. It was our mission and inspiration to develop a gluten-free product line that looked and tasted great. We wanted people that were and were not gluten-free to really second guess what they were eating and ask if it was truly gluten-free. And that's where our tagline, "Too good to be gluten-free," was born. A lot of people that tried our products in the early days were, "Wow, this is too good to be gluten-free." So it was a great success from the start, and we're happy to carry on that torch even today, 17 years later.
Well, thank you. And as a gluten-free manufacturer, strictly gluten-free food manufacturer, what are some of the unique challenges that you face?
Honestly, when you're talking about baked goods and you don't have gluten, not having the gluten itself is our biggest challenge. When we develop an item, we want that item to feel soft and be moist with a neutral flavor palette. The gluten brings that to the table. It retains the moisture. It allows for that chemical reaction to occur when you're baking to get that nice texture. And we don't have that from the starting point. So we need to manipulate non-traditional baking ingredients to achieve our goals. And this takes time and creativity.
And how has since you've been involved for many years, how has the gluten-free manufacturing commercial landscape changed since you began?
Oh, it changed immensely and thankfully for the better. When we began, there were only a handful of companies in the marketplace. Gluten-free was definitely not mainstream, and the items available were very basic. So gluten-free has become more commonplace, thankfully, and items offered today are much more unique and exciting.
Mhm. Yeah, I was diagnosed in 2005, and I can attest to that. It's a completely different environment now. I know the COVID pandemic was hard on all businesses. Any particular challenges that you faced during the COVID-19 pandemic?
Health and safety, number one, that was our biggest challenge. Even though we quickly implemented unique measures to accommodate safe manufacturing practices directly related to COVID-19, people were naturally still afraid to come to work and elected to stay home. They were able to stay home. They were getting support from the government, so that was a good thing. But this reduced our capabilities to produce by about 30%. And at the same time, demand for food in general skyrocketed. So that was our biggest challenge. It took us many, many months to realign and be able to develop against the demand that was being asked of us.
Mhm. And gluten-free food in general has been criticized for not having as much nutritional value or added minerals or vitamins compared to regular food. Has O'Dough's taken any steps to provide healthier products?
Yeah, for sure. That's a benchmark of our foundation. So we always start with natural ingredients. We use whole grains, which, like your previous guest mentioned, equals higher fiber. We use sprouted flours, which aids in digestion and reduces bloating and intestinal discomfort. We're non-GMO. We don't add any sugar in our products except for in our muffins and our brownies, of course. And we don't add any additional salt. The salt we have in our products are naturally occurring, and we don't have any preservatives.
And it's been a particular challenge sourcing any specific ingredients.
Um, we had a time through the past year and a half, 2 years, where we had an issue sourcing ingredients which were directly related to the Ukraine war. That's since passed, but that was a challenge. Aside from that, through the pandemic and normally speaking, we have very strong suppliers, and we hold really high levels of inventory on our raw materials to mitigate any sort of shortfall.
Mhm. And one question people often have, like, I mean, companies, we go to restaurants, they say, oh, this is gluten free. Well, is it really? What kind of testing and verification regimes does O'Dough's have in place to make sure, like, not only purity of the final product, but of the supplies as they come in?
For sure. So uh, we're governed by a Global Food Safety Initiative program. We're under the certification of BRC, the British Retail Consortium. It's a third-party auditing body that mandates how we operate. We have to verify and validate ongoing throughout the year how we're testing, how we're swabbing for allergens, good manufacturing practices. that's built into our day-to-day genetic of running a food facility. We have a dedicated QA compliance department. We run supplier approval programs, ongoing training with the staff about food safety, especially around allergens, gluten-free, and we rely on third-party testing and auditing to make sure that we're validating and staying true to the program that we developed to give the consumer a healthy and safe product to eat.
Well, thank you for going the extra mile, making sure your products are gluten-free. I know that doesn't come cheap. Could you speak a bit, like when you became certified, I don't know how many years ago that was, any like particular processes that had to be adapted to become certified?
I think it was more about awareness. We already built in protocols to manufacture safely. We became certified in 2012, and we've maintained a AA grade, which is one of the highest grades ever since we've implemented our food safety program. Um, it really just becomes a fabric of your day-to-day operation. And without having that as the foundation, without the training and constant evolution and evolving of the program itself, as you bring on new processes, new products, you have to review your practices and you have to make sure that they always align with your food safety initiatives and make sure that the people that are working with you understand that food
Mhm.
safety as being a very strong culture requirement of manufacturing food.
Are there any restrictions on employees bringing gluten-containing food in for their lunches and that kind of thing?
Yeah, well, they're not allowed. We can ask our employees to bring in things that they don't want to eat. They can bring in whatever they want to eat. They have a lunchroom that's for themselves. When they go off of the manufacturing floor, they have to get out of their uniform and change in a separate area that's protected and then go into the lunchroom and eat their lunch. And then when they come back onto the floor, they put back on their uniform, they wash their hands, they put their hairnets on, and so on and so forth. And then they go back into the protected environment of our manufacturing facility.
Yeah, it's quite a process. So we discussed certification, discussed the difficulty of sourcing ingredients, the problems of the pandemic. Kind of feeds into a question that celiacs always ask: why does gluten-free food cost so much more than regular food?
It's not an easy direct answer. So, if you look at just a general baked product and you look at wheat's pretty cheap. And in most bakery items, it's wheat, water, sugar, salt, and oil. It's not high cost ingredients to produce. Our ingredients aren't as cheap as conventional products, but they only make up a portion of our costs. They are higher, but the majority of the costs come from labor. They come from packaging. We're also not a direct to retail type of industry. All of our products are manufactured. They're warehoused in a frozen facility throughout North America, and they have to get across North America. We have a little requirement in a great amount of territory. So we don't do large volumes in every area that we sell. It's a little bit here and a little bit there. The whole cost of supply chain to allow your products to get to market comes at a cost. So to simplify that, you can consider that if I'm making an item for say $2, by the time it gets to retail, it's going to be either 2.5 to 3 times the cost of what it costs to manufacture because it's got to go through distribution, their selling partners, the retailers have to make their margins. So costs keep getting added on.
Hmm. Yeah, it's a good message for everyone. I mean, I don't mean to slam any particular businesses, but for companies that take the precautions of ensuring purity of their flours coming in, they do testing throughout these processes in the protocols, getting certified. There are costs that come an added cost to the product to ensure your safety.
Yeah, no, for sure. No, it's tough,
Mhm.
especially in
Mhm.
today's climate. And we're proud to say that in the past 17 years, we took our first price increase only a year ago, whereas a lot of other companies in the market do regular increases year over year. We're very sensitive to what our retail costs will roll up to be, and we make it a mission of ours to ensure that we are very price competitive, if not ahead of price from our
Mhm.
competitors of like items.
Yeah, for sure. Again, not slamming any other competitors, but I mean, at least here in Victoria, British Columbia, yeah, Odo's like I can see a difference. There's some companies that are a lot more expensive, and Odo's is quite reasonable, and even with the certification that we know carries those costs. So thanks for that. In terms of your product, like you have a diverse array of products at Odo's. Is there anything on the horizon, anything about upcoming product development that you might be able to share with us?
Well, we just launched our non-style O dippers. I don't know if you've seen them yet or not. So they're new. We have great hope that they'll become a household favorite over the next year with our consumers, especially around the holiday seasons coming up. They're great for dipping. I can't give too much away, but we do want to evolve our sweet line. We only have muffins. We have brownies that are allergen friendly, free of the top 9 allergens.
Mhm.
Um, and some savory items we want to launch over the next year or two as well. We have things in the pipeline that are exciting. We try and find things that resemble conventional bakery items, but at the same time are unique to the gluten-free space, so we can be leaders in the innovative category, which we feel that we are.
Mhm. Well, thank you. And I know we've had dropped in the chat the link to Odo's. They deliver across Canada, national distribution, and also a bakery in Toronto that you can visit. That's right.
Yeah, we have a storefront at our location. You can order online, or you can come in and order on the spot.
Hmm. And I see Melissa, our executive director, gave a shout out to the O'Dippers too. So that's nice to see.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you. I'll jump to some questions from attendees. Uh, Actually, this is more for me. I think, correct, do you have arrangements with, like, I think I've seen Odo's uh, buns on maybe it was Air Canada or WestJet or Via Rail. Do you provide to any of those?
Yeah, so we have an entire food service platform that is all individually wrapped items like dinner rolls or buns and
Hmm.
whatnot. So through distribution, we know we are selling through distribution to companies like Air Canada. Yes, but we don't.
Okay.
They're not direct accounts. It all goes through food service distributions and brokers
Right.
that cater to those customers.
Yes, I have this. I forget when it was, but this happiness of seeing an Odo's dinner roll instead of the rice cake that we're often given on those those meals.
Thank
Um,
you.
so thanks for clarifying that. Uh, we talked, Dr. Lee talked in the previous presentation about the nutritional value of different flours. What can you speak a bit about what your favored flours are for your products?
So what makes I think our formulation more unique than others is our blend of flours. We use flax, we use soy, we use potato, tapioca, chickpea. That blend that we work with gives it its unique uh, qualities of the texture that we're striving to achieve, especially in the crust formation and the mouthfeel. If you simplify it to one or two ingredients, it loses a lot of depth.
Hmm.
We found that with our current formulation that we manipulate to develop new products, that those group of flours that we use lend well to the mouthfeel, taste, and texture that we're looking for.
Great to hear. Yes. For anyone out there who's new to celiac disease, please vary your flours in a product. Don't just use tapioca starch, for example, as I did once when I was early. Unless you want to eat a sponge. So a couple comments about how some gluten-free food manufacturers are still having supply chain issues. Wondering if you can comment on why that might be, and if there's been any particular challenges in like certain flours getting like chickpea, like getting it purely gluten-free. Has it been a problem at all?
It's a good question. I really don't know the answer. So I know with our suppliers, we've had long relationships with our suppliers since the inception of the business. Um, and I think that's secured our supply levels just because of the long-standing relationships. As there's fluctuations in the market, where a lot of ingredients come from overseas. So if you don't have that stable relationship with a current supplier, you may lose out when there are slight shortages as a manufacturer. You may lose out on getting material in because it's going to get diverted to a preferred vendor.
Mhm. Okay, good to know. There's a lot of questions about are the products available in Newfoundland, Alberta, and so forth. So just to confirm, it's there. They should be in various stores in every province and territory.
They should be. It's hard for us to narrow it down. What we
Mhm.
recommend is that consumers email us to eatwell@odos.com. Once we have your postal code or your zip code, if you have anybody from the US, we can narrow down to your geographic area of where we sell products. It's not up to us which stores or what products each store carries, but we can find out for you. As an option, we've launched the online platform to allow for consumers all across Canada to purchase our products, and we have them shipping as a flat fee across Canada for $10, no matter what you order. So you can try our stuff, and especially if you're having a hard time finding it.
Yeah, $10 is pretty reasonable considering if you might be driving to multiple stores to try to find your products. And
Exactly.
for those asking about, yeah, where can I get it? Looks like you can order it online from anywhere in the country to get it delivered. And then the storefront in Toronto is another option, of course. Someone asking you, does Odo's make a sourdough bread? Any thoughts on
Oh, not yet.
potential?
I'm desperately trying to develop that. It's I really want it in the pipeline, but it's a challenge.
Mhm. I know that this is not a fun question, but I think the word is it shrinkflation about making
Yeah.
products a bit smaller. Someone mentioned about bagels being thinner now than in the past. Do you still provide thicker bagels or any plans for that?
But we've always been a bagel thin. They've always been 50 grams each
Oh,
and
okay.
100 calories each. We've not changed our formulation for the bagel. Um, Sometimes you get natural variance in sizes. We have tolerances that we're allowed to work with, um, plus or minus 5% of weight. If they're baked too big, we don't discard it. We'll let it go through. That could be an issue at times, but we've not reduced the size of our bagels, nor do we plan to. It's how it's been developed and how we've been selling it. And if people do find that there are inconsistencies, we'd love to hear from them. And we'll send them either a coupon or a replacement product, and we'll take care of them so they don't feel that they didn't get something that they didn't want. And we want to make sure that they're always happy with the purchases
Mhm.
that they have with Odo's.
Yeah, next extra mile. Maybe they were thinking of another company. I should have stuck this in with the shipping question, but I know like sometimes there's issues with shipping to post office boxes. And do you use Canada Post?
We're shipping, I think, primarily with Canada Post. The PO boxes, I do believe, create issues, but it's my understanding that that's worked out before the items are shipped. And if things slip through the cracks and something is shipped to a PO box, that's an error,
Mm.
and that's just about having a conversation with the customer and picking up the phone or an email, which if that's happening, we should look into. So again, with the
Mm.
previous comment, if somebody is finding that something didn't get shipped to them or there was issues, then please just email us, call us, and we'll take care of you.
Yeah, I'm sure people with post office boxes have had the experience where they have to provide the exact address, so
Right.
no surprise there. How do you develop or determine, like when you think of it, you mentioned no dippers, when you think of what new products to come out with, how do you determine that, like market research kind of thing?
Honestly, I like walking through the grocery stores. A lot of our team members do the same thing, and we find products that we like in conventional sets, and we just come back to the office and we brainstorm and say, can we develop this or that? We don't want to try and create things that are out of the norm. Um, we're not like the bakery world. We're not going to trend set for the bakery world, especially the conventional bakery world. But what we like to do is see what's successful in the conventional bakery world and say, hey, how can we make this gluten free and allow our gluten free customers to enjoy something that people that aren't gluten free can enjoy? So
Mm.
that's where we get our inspiration from.
And we talked about the sugar content and or lack thereof in most of your products, so that's great. Someone asked about the sodium content in hot dog buns in particular in this case. So like, what are the given a high level explanation of like why do we need salt in these products?
So we're not
Sodium.
adding any additional sodium to our formulation. It's the natural sodium that's inherently in the flours.
Oh, okay, that's good to know.
Yeah.
And you obviously cater to many different allergens, groups of people that can't eat certain things. There was a question about are there specific products that meet low carb needs and anything without chickpea for someone who's allergic to chickpea flour?
At this time, no, not yet. Like we have our base formulation, which includes the chickpea, and we haven't diverted from that. New product development may in the future, but we stay true to our base formulation and we apply that methodology to anything new that we create.
Okay. Thank you. And I mentioned we talked about Air Canada and that. Are you any other distribution networks? Someone mentioned hospitals, for example. Do you have any service there or anywhere, any other applications?
So we distribute our individually wrapped program to Cisco, GFS, Flanagan, the food service distributors of the world. And from there, they do get sent to places like hospitals, airlines,
Mhm.
commissaries, things of that nature. But they're not our direct customer.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Indirect. For people that yeah, ordering buy it frozen at the store. Obviously, you'd keep it in the freezer. But in terms of if it's shipped to you, it's not frozen. Any advice on how to best store the products for maximum life?
Put it back in the freezer if you're not going to be able to consume it within a few days. So we have a shelf life extension program we developed that's proprietary. We've developed, um, without using preservatives, the ability to have our products last 12 to 15 days ambient. That being said, I recommend always placing things in the freezer. Our products can be frozen and thawed up to 5 times without ruining the structural integrity of the product. So
Hmm.
freezer is your best friend. If you're going to consume something within a few weeks, then if you need one bagel, you take it out, pop it in your toaster, maybe do a double toast, one to thaw it and then one to brown it a little bit, and it'll taste as fresh as it did when you got it ambient.
That's good to know. You see products like do not refreeze and kind of thing, but it's good to know that that your products can be, if needed, frozen and thawed and then frozen again. Someone's asking about whether you've thought about making croissants at any point.
I
Not the
wish.
easiest.
Not the easiest. It's a completely different process. So that's like a laminating line that we don't currently have. Hopefully one day we'll be able to introduce stuff like that into a future facility, but our current facility only allows us to do the product types that we're manufacturing today: the breads, the buns, the flatbreads, hot dog, hamburger buns, dippers, things of that nature. Laminated doughs is a completely different process that we're not able to do at this time.
Okay, thanks, Ari. And I'm going to finish with a more lighthearted question that we got. Are you looking for any taste testers across the country for any new products?
Always, always happy to hear from people. If people want to try things, we're more than happy to bring you on board and send you samples and have you try our stuff.
Okay, so yeah, reach out to Odo's social media. You know how to do it. All right. Well, thanks very much, Ari, for taking all of our questions and for
My
waiting
pleasure.
again.
Not,
Appreciate
not
it.
a problem. Thank you
So,
for having me
yeah.
and good luck to all the winners.
Thank you for your generosity. We'll give away our grand prize now. Thanks,
Thank
Ari, for Odo's being a platinum partner for Celiac Canada. Very strong support, and we couldn't have done this conference without it. Thanks so much.